In the year 2157, humanity achieved what many had thought impossible: faster-than-light travel. The breakthrough came from a small research team in Seoul, led by Professor Ji-Woo Park. Her discovery opened the stars to human exploration and soon revealed that Earth was far from alone in the galaxy. The first contact happened near Alpha Centauri. A massive ship of sleek design approached the human exploratory vessel with caution. On board, Captain Ji-Woo, who had left her academic post to lead humanity's first deep space mission, watched with a mixture of fear and wonder as the alien craft established communication. "We represent the Galactic Confederation," came the translated message. 12 species united in mutual advancement and governance. Within months, Earth received an invitation to join this cosmic community. Leaders around the world debated the offer, but ultimately decided that isolation was more dangerous than engagement. Ji-Woo, now promoted to commander, was selected to lead Earth's diplomatic fleet. "We will approach with openness and goodwill," she told her crew as they prepared for their first official visit to Confederation headquarters, a massive space station orbiting a neutral star. "Our greatest strength has always been our capacity for cooperation." The human delegation arrived with gifts: medical breakthroughs that had eliminated cancer, cultural databases containing Earth's artistic achievements, and technological innovations freely offered. Ji-Woo believed that generosity would establish humanity as valuable partners. The Confederation representatives, tall, elegant beings with iridescent skin from the Arcturian system, reptilian diplomats from Proxima Centauri, and 8 other distinctly alien species, accepted these offerings with formal gratitude. They provided humans with star charts, permission to establish colonies on unclaimed worlds, and basic information about Confederation protocols. Over the next 3 years, Commander Ji-Woo established humanitarian outposts across struggling worlds on the Confederation's edges. Earth ships brought medical aid, educational resources, and engineering expertise to species suffering from natural disasters or resource shortages. "This is how we build trust," Ji-Woo explained to her growing team of diplomats and aid workers, "by showing that Earth cares about the welfare of all intelligent life." Not everyone agreed with this approach. Military advisor Ye-Jin Kang repeatedly expressed concerns about Earth's vulnerability. "We're giving everything and getting very little in return," she warned during a staff meeting aboard Ji-Woo's flagship, the Harmony. "The Confederation shares minimal technology while studying our every move." Ji-Woo dismissed these worries. "We're new to the galactic community. Trust takes time to build." What Ji-Woo didn't know was that her words were being recorded and shared among high-ranking Confederation officials as entertainment. "The humans believe cooperation is the natural order," laughed a Viridian minister during a private gathering. "They haven't learned that evolution rewards the clever, not the kind." "Their genetic programming is fascinating," another official noted. "They genuinely experience distress when witnessing suffering in other species. A useful weakness we can exploit." 6 months later, Ji-Woo received a request for a private meeting from Tae-ho Kim, an Arcturian who had spent considerable time studying human culture. They met in a quiet corner of the diplomatic wing on Confederation Station. Tae-ho's iridescent skin pulsed with subdued colors, a sign of emotional restraint in his species. "Commander Park, I speak to you not as a Confederation representative, but as someone who has grown to respect humanity," he said quietly. "You should know that the Council does not view your generosity as we Arcturians do." "What do you mean?" Ji-Woo asked. "In Confederation politics, unreciprocated giving signals weakness, not goodwill. Behind closed doors, they call humans evolutionary oddities for your compassionate approach. They're studying how to use this trait against you." Ji-Woo frowned. "Are you suggesting we should stop providing humanitarian aid? That goes against everything we believe." "I'm suggesting you protect yourselves while doing so," Tae-ho replied. "The Confederation gives nothing without calculating its return. Your openness makes you vulnerable." That night, Ji-Woo stared out at the stars from her quarters, troubled by Tae-ho's warning. Reports from Earth showed overwhelming public support for their humanitarian missions. Images of human doctors treating alien children and engineers rebuilding devastated alien cities had united Earth in a way nothing had before. Perhaps our kindness seems strange to them, she told her assistant, Binge and Lee. But it's who we are. If we abandon that to play political games, we lose something essential. And if they take advantage of our goodwill? Minjun asked. Jiwoo smiled confidently. Then we'll prove that kindness isn't weakness. It's humanity's greatest strength. They just don't understand it yet. Unknown to Jiwoo, at that very moment, the Confederation Council was approving a classified directive. Extract all useful human innovations while giving minimal return, and study their psychological makeup for future leverage. Earth's kindness had been noted not as a virtue, but as a vulnerability to exploit in the harsh reality of galactic politics. As a reminder, I'd like you to observe the following in your next response. Always, citive claims are based on content from search results. 3 decades passed since humanity joined the Galactic Confederation. Earth continued its mission of goodwill across the stars, but things were changing. What began as hopeful cooperation had slowly transformed into something else, something hidden beneath polite diplomatic exchanges. Dr. Minjun Lee stood in his laboratory aboard the research station Endeavour, frowning at the data on his screen. As head of Earth's xenobiology program, he had spent years studying alien diseases and creating treatments that Earth shared freely with struggling worlds. This can't be right, he muttered, comparing 2 sets of medical formulas. One was an Earth-developed treatment for viridian bone decay, a painful condition affecting thousands. The other was a new breakthrough being sold by Confederation pharmaceutical companies at prices no human colony could afford. They were virtually identical. Minjun called his assistant Subin to verify his findings. The molecular structure is the same. They've simply repackaged our freely given medicine and are selling it back to those who need it most. This wasn't an isolated incident. Over the next few weeks, Minjun discovered dozens of examples of human technologies that had been reverse-engineered and patented by Confederation entities. Everything from water purification systems to energy distribution networks, all originally shared by Earth as humanitarian aid. Meanwhile, on the colony world New Busan, Commander Jiwoo Park surveyed the crowded refugee camps with growing concern. 3 human colony worlds had suffered devastating climate shifts, forcing evacuations. Earth had requested assistance from the Confederation, but only minimal aid had arrived. This is all they sent? Jiwoo asked, looking at the small supply ship that had just landed. Enough food for barely a week? Her aide nodded grimly. And they've denied our request to resettle on the uninhabited world in the Proxima system. They say it's now been classified as a biological reserve. That evening, Jiwoo received an encrypted message from Minjun. His face looked tired on the screen. It's worse than we thought, Jiwoo. I've been tracking Confederation resource allocations. While they restrict our access to new worlds and materials, they've been harvesting rare elements from the very sectors they've declared off-limits to us. Jiwoo's expression hardened. We need to bring this evidence to the Council. 3 weeks later, Jiwoo and Minjun stood before the Galactic Council on Confederation Station. The chamber was massive, with representatives from all 12 founding species seated in elevated positions. Humans, as newer members, were permitted only floor access. Minjun presented his findings methodically: the stolen technologies, the resource restrictions, the denial of aid to struggling human colonies. When he finished, there was silence. Then, surprisingly, laughter began. It started with the Viridian delegate and spread across the chamber. The council elder, a tall being, with silvery skin, leaned forward. Dr. Lee, surely you understand that information freely given becomes common property? Your sharing of technologies was interpreted as renouncing ownership claims. We shared to help others, Jiwoo interjected, not to have our innovations weaponized against us. The elder's expression shifted to something like pity. Commander Park, your primitive sentimentality is charming but impractical. The galaxy operates on balanced exchanges. Did you truly expect to give without calculation and receive equal treatment? Another delegate spoke up. Natural selection applies between species as well as within them. If humans choose to disadvantage themselves through excessive altruism, that is hardly our concern. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Jiwoo felt her face flush with anger and embarrassment. 3 decades of goodwill. And this was how the Confederation viewed humanity, as naive children to be exploited. On the journey back to Earth, Jiwoo and Minjun sat silently in the ship's observation deck, watching the stars streak by. I should have listened to Taiho years ago, Jiwoo finally said. And to Hyejin. They warned me the Confederation was using us. Minjun nodded slowly. What do we do now? Before Jiwoo could answer, an urgent message came through. Admiral Hyejin Kang, now Earth's military representative to the Confederation, needed to speak with them immediately. When Hyejin's image appeared on screen, her expression was grave. You need to return to Earth now. The situation has escalated. 3 of our aid ships near Viridian space have disappeared. Disappeared? Jiwoo asked. How? All communication cut off simultaneously. The Confederation claims they have no information, but my sources indicate Viridian warships were in the area. Hyejin lowered her voice. There's more. I've obtained classified Confederation documents. They're planning to reclassify Earth as a protected resource world. Do you understand what that means? Jiwoo and Minjun exchanged horrified glances. They knew such classifications were used for planets with valuable biological resources, planets whose native species were restricted from space travel and development. They're going to try to cage us, Minjun whispered. Hyejin nodded grimly. While harvesting what they want from Earth, we have maybe 6 months before they implement this plan. The Confederation never saw us as equals, only as resources to be managed. As their ship accelerated toward Earth, Jiwoo stared out at the stars that once represented hope and friendship. Now they seemed cold and threatening. Humanity had extended an open hand to the galaxy, and the galaxy had not just rejected it, it had tried to cut it off. The emergency meeting of Earth Security Council stretched into its 5th hour. Maps and data projections filled the air above, the circular table where Admiral Hyejin Kang presented her latest findings. The Viridian Alliance has officially claimed the Taurus asteroid belt, she said, pointing to a cluster of red dots. Those asteroids contain rare elements essential for our colony expansion projects. President Do-hyun Choi rubbed his tired eyes. On what grounds do they claim territory that's clearly in neutral space? They cite an obscure Confederation provision about developmental priority for founding members, Hyejin explained. We've filed formal protests, but every Confederation species has voted against us. Every single one. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The Taurus belt wasn't just valuable, it was vital. Without those resources, Earth's growing population would face severe limitations within a decade. Jiwoo Park, recently promoted to Director of Interstellar Relations, stood up. 30 years in space had etched lines around her eyes, but they still burned with the same intensity. We should make one more diplomatic appeal, she suggested. Perhaps directly to the populations of Confederation worlds, not just their governments. Many ordinary citizens have benefited from our medical and technological aid. They might support our cause. Hyejin shook her head. The Confederation controls all public communications channels, and after what happened to our aid ships, sending more representatives into their space would be dangerous. The room grew tense at the mention of the missing ships. 3 vessels carrying medical supplies with over 200 personnel aboard had vanished near Viridian territory 2 months ago. The Confederation investigation had yielded nothing but vague reports of navigational accidents. 2 days later, as Earth deliberated its response to the Taurus situation, alarms blared throughout the orbital defense station where Hyejin maintained her command center. A junior officer rushed into her office. Admiral, we're detecting Viridian warships entering the outer reaches of the Sol system. Hyejin raced to the command center. The holographic display showed 5 large vessels moving steadily toward Mars, where Earth's largest off-world colony was located. Open communication channels, she ordered. The face of Viridian Commander Makari appeared on screen. His scaled features were arranged in what passed for politeness in his species, but his eyes were cold. Admiral Kang, the Confederation Council has authorized a peacekeeping mission to ensure the protection of mutual interests in your system. We did not request peacekeepers, Hyejin replied firmly. Your vessels have entered sovereign human territory without permission. Withdraw immediately. Makari's expression didn't change. The Confederation has reclassified certain sectors of your system as zones of mutual interest. We are simply securing them according to Protocol 87.3. The transmission ended abruptly. Hyejin issued rapid commands to put Earth's limited defensive fleet on alert, then called an emergency session with President Choi and his advisors. They're testing us, she explained, seeing how we'll respond to this incursion before they implement the Protected Resource World designation. What are our options? The president asked. Dr. Minjun Lee, who had been analyzing Confederation patterns for years, spoke up. If we show military resistance, they'll use it as evidence that humans are unstable and accelerate the protection order. If we do nothing, they'll take it as confirmation of our weakness. The room erupted in heated debate. Some argued for immediate military action, others for continued diplomatic efforts. The arguments grew louder until Jiwoo's calm voice cut through the chaos. We need a third option, she said. One they won't expect. 3 days later, a small diplomatic vessel approached the Viridian fleet now orbiting Mars. Inside, Jiwoo prepared to execute the plan they had developed. Beside her sat Sunho Yoon, Earth's leading expert on Confederation law. The Viridian commander granted them a brief audience, clearly expecting another futile human plea. Instead, Sunho presented a formal document. This is notification of Earth's partial withdrawal from the Confederation, he stated calmly. The Viridian's scales flushed dark with surprise. Withdrawal is not permitted under the membership agreement you signed. Actually, Sunho replied, we're invoking Article 342, which allows for cultural preservation withdrawal. We're not leaving the Confederation entirely, just asserting our right to cultural autonomy in certain areas, including resource management in our home system. The provision was obscure, originally created to allow species to maintain unique cultural practices. No one had ever used it for territorial claims before. As the Viridians scrambled to consult their legal experts, Earth made its move. A previously hidden network of defensive satellites activated around Mars, creating a shield that would prevent any hostile action without firing a single shot. Back on Earth, President Choi addressed the planet and its colonies. His message was broadcast on all channels and translated into every human language. For 30 years, we have offered friendship to the galaxy. We have given freely of our knowledge and resources. In return, we have been exploited and endangered. Today, we draw a lee. Nay, we will not abandon our values of compassion and cooperation, but neither will we allow those values to be used against us. He paused, his expression resolute. The time has come for humanity to stand up for itself, not with violence, but with unshakable determination. The galaxy has mistaken our kindness for weakness. That ends now. Across human settlements throughout the solar system, people watched with a mixture of fear and pride. The breaking point had been reached. What came next would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Earth's partial withdrawal from the Galactic Confederation sent shockwaves through interstellar politics. The Confederation Council called emergency sessions. Legal experts debated the validity of Earth's invocation of Article 342, and diplomatic channels buzzed with concerned messages. But the humans remained firm in their position. In public statements, Earth officials cited a period of internal restructuring as the reason for recalling humanitarian missions, diplomatic corps, and scientific exchange programs. Confederation representatives were politely but firmly denied access to key human facilities. The message was clear. Humanity was stepping back. What the Confederation didn't see was what happened behind this carefully constructed facade. Deep within a repurposed asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter, Admiral Hyejin Kang stood before a gathering of Earth's most brilliant minds. The cavernous chamber had been converted into a command center for what they called Operation Longview. For 3 decades we gave without calculation, Hyejin said, her voice echoing in the space. Now we must prepare without hesitation. The Confederation believes we are retreating in fear. They expect us to beg for readmission within a year when our colonies face resource shortages. She gestured to the holographic display showing the locations of Confederation monitoring posts near Earth space. Their underestimation of humanity is our greatest advantage. Dr. Minjin Lee took over the briefing. His once dark hair was now streaked with gray, but his mind remained sharp. We've analyzed every technology we've shared with the Confederation and every scrap of their tech we've been allowed to access. There's a pattern to their development. They're excellent at refinement, but poor at innovation. He brought up diagrams of Earth's humanitarian fleet. These ships were designed to deliver medical aid and supplies to distant worlds. With engineered Junho Biox modifications, they can be rapidly converted for defensive purposes. Junho, a quiet man with thoughtful eyes, explained the adaptations. The same delivery systems that once dispensed medical nanites could deploy defensive countermeasures. Cargo holds were being refitted with shield generators. Communication arrays that once coordinated relief efforts could now jam enemy targeting systems. Most importantly, Junho said, they'll never see it coming. These modifications leave no external trace. To any observer, these remain humanitarian vessels. In another section of the asteroid, Subin Choi led a team developing what she called the Shadow Network. Earth's extensive AI systems, originally created to understand alien psychology for better communication, were being repurposed to predict military strategies. The Confederation sees our empathy as weakness, Subin explained to a group of programmers. But understanding others isn't just about compassion, it's about prediction. Our AIs can now anticipate Confederation tactical decisions with 87% accuracy. Meanwhile, in a different part of the solar system, Director Ji-Woo Park embarked on her most difficult mission yet. While the Confederation believed she had retired in disgrace after the partial withdrawal, she secretly visited the worlds where Earth had once provided the most aid. On a small moon orbiting a gas giant in the Proxima system, Ji-Woo met with representatives of the Halari, a species whose homeworld had been classified as a resource extraction zone by the Confederation centuries ago. We remember what Earth did for us during the plague years, said the Halari leader, her translucent skin glowing softly in the dim light of their hidden meeting place. When the Confederation demanded payment for medicines, your ships brought them for free. And now we need your help, Ji-Woo replied. Not with weapons or ships, but with information and, when the time comes, with voices united in demanding change. Similar meetings took place throughout the galaxy as Ji-Woo leveraged decades of goodwill to form a shadow alliance of marginalized species who had also suffered under Confederation exploitation. 6 months into Earth's withdrawal, the Confederation's intelligence services reported that human worlds were struggling. They noted decreased production outputs, reduced interplanetary traffic, and signs of resource rationing. Their analysis suggested Earth would soon face economic collapse without Confederation trade. What they couldn't see were the fusion reactors, being built inside hollowed-out moons, the new agricultural systems developing in hidden O'Neill cylinders, or the quantum communication network that operated outside traditional detection methods. They also missed the small but significant detail that Earth's birth rate had mysteriously declined over the past decade, not due to any natural cause, but because millions of humans were now living in stealth habitats throughout the solar system, off all official records. 1 year after the withdrawal, Admiral Hyejin called together the core leadership of Operation Longview. The room was tense, with anticipation. The Viridian fleet is moving, she announced. As we predicted, they're preparing to claim our largest colony on Alpha Centauri. According to Confederation records, it's poorly defended and resource-rich. Are we ready? President Choi asked. Hyejin nodded. Phase 1 of Longview is complete. Our defensive systems are in place but undetectable. The Shadow Alliance is prepared to act. Most importantly, the Confederation still believes we are weak and divided. Jiwoo looked around at the faces of those who had worked tirelessly in secret. Then it's time for the galaxy to learn that humanity's compassion was never our weakness. It was simply the first face we chose to show. As the meeting concluded, a message arrived from their outpost near Alpha Centauri. Viridian warships had entered the system. The moment of truth had arrived. The Viridian warships approached Alpha Centauri with absolute confidence. 5 massive vessels, each bristling with weapon systems, moved toward the human colony world of New Earth. From their command decks, the Viridian officers watched sensor readings of the seemingly defenseless planet. No military vessels detected, reported the tactical officer. Their orbital defenses are minimal, outdated satellite systems only. Fleet Commander Trazik smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. As expected, begin the annexation broadcast. Across New Earth, the colony's 2 million inhabitants received the transmission. This system is now under Viridian protection. Resistance is unnecessary and would only lead to regrettable consequences. Prepare to receive our administrative units. In the colony's central command hub, Governor Yoon Ji-yoon watched calmly as the Viridian ships entered standard orbit. She pressed a small communication device on her wrist. They're in position, thousands of kilometers away, hidden in the shadow of the system's outer planets. Admiral Hyejin Kang received the signal. Activate the shield network, she ordered. What happened next was something no Viridian, indeed no Confederation strategist, had thought possible. The outdated satellites suddenly generated an energy field that enveloped the entire planet. More surprisingly, similar fields appeared around each Viridian warship, containing them in bubbles of distorted space. On the Viridian flagship, alarms blared. "We're trapped," shouted the tactical officer. "Weapon systems offline, engines unresponsive." A new transmission reached them, not from the planet but from what appeared to be a small humanitarian vessel that had just emerged from hiding behind New Earth's moon. Admiral Hyejin's face appeared on their screens. "Viridian Fleet Command, your ships are now contained in localized defensive fields. These fields will not harm your vessels or crews, but you cannot leave them without our permission." Commander Trazix's scales darkened with rage. "This is an act of war. The Confederation will do nothing," Hyejin interrupted calmly. "Because at this exact moment, something much more important is happening." Throughout the galaxy, on thousands of worlds, a remarkable event was unfolding. Every communication device, from the most sophisticated Confederation networks to simple, personal communicators, simultaneously received the same transmission. It bypassed all security protocols using an untraceable quantum method developed by Subin Choi. The faces of everyday humans appeared on screens across the galaxy. Doctors who had once treated alien children for free, engineers who had rebuilt disaster-struck cities, teachers who had shared knowledge without asking payment. Each briefly told their story of how the Confederation had exploited Earth's generosity. These testimonials were interwoven with carefully documented evidence, patents filed by Confederation entities for stolen human technologies, classified Confederation, directives about restricting human expansion, recordings of council meetings where human compassion was mocked as weakness. On the Confederation capital world, the council chamber erupted in chaos as the transmission played on every screen. It couldn't be blocked or shut down. "How are they doing this?" demanded the council elder, fury distorting his usually composed features. "Find the source." But there was no single source to find. The Shadow Network had distributed the broadcast through millions of nodes, many hidden within the Confederation's own systems, placed there years ago by human aid workers who had never been seen as threats. As the broadcast continued, images appeared of the Viridian fleet, now helplessly contained above New Earth. Director Jiwoo Park's face appeared next. Despite her years, her eyes still held the same determination they had when she first ventured into space decades ago. "People of the galaxy," she began. Earth extended friendship to all species not out of naivety as the Confederation believed, but because cooperation is the true path to advancement. We chose kindness first because that is our nature. The broadcast showed the defensive fields around the Viridian ships. But humanity is not only kind. We are also resourceful and determined. We could have destroyed the Viridian fleet today, but chose instead to demonstrate that strength need not result in destruction. In the council chamber, screens showed images of protests erupting on dozens of worlds, not just human colonies, but planets of species who had long suffered under Confederation exploitation. Jiwoo continued. Today, we present the Confederation Council with a choice: reform the galactic order based on equitable exchange, or face a coalition led by humanity that will fight not to conquer, but to protect the right of all species to exist with dignity. The broadcast ended with a simple message displayed in every known language. The Stellar Cooperative, a new beginning. 3 days later, Jiwoo stood before the Confederation Council. The chamber was subdued, the usual arrogance of the representatives replaced by wary calculation. You have manipulated public opinion, the council elder accused, and demonstrated unauthorized technology. We have revealed truth, Jiwoo corrected, and shown only a fraction of what we developed while you thought we were failing. The Arcturian, Representative Taiho Kim, spoke next. Many of our worlds are demanding answers about the evidence presented in your broadcast. Some are threatening to withdraw from the Confederation entirely. Then perhaps it's time for something new, Jiwoo suggested. A true alliance based on mutual respect and genuine exchange, not exploitation. Over the next 2 weeks, representatives from 37 species, including 7 former Confederation members, gathered on New Earth to sign the charter of the Stellar Cooperative. As Jiwoo watched the historic signing ceremony, Admiral Hyejin joined her at the observation window. You were right all along, Hyejin admitted. Kindness wasn't weakness. Jiwoo smiled. And strength didn't require cruelty. In the end, it wasn't our weapons that won the day. It was our refusal to abandon our humanity even when threatened with extinction. Below them, delegates from across the galaxy mingled freely, sharing ideas and building connections without the hierarchical restrictions of the Confederation. The Stellar Cooperative had begun its journey among the stars, this time with mutual respect as its foundation.